Nick Foles continues to own Tom Brady. Welcome to Bears football here on the Barroom Network. John Buffone alongside Aldo Gandia and Tyler Ellis. The Chicago Bears pulled out a victory late Thursday night by a score of 20-19. Fellas, I'm lucky I'm a younger guy. I don't think my heart can take this anymore, man. But what an incredible game after looking lost and just out of it early on in the first quarter, second quarter. The Bears come back. There's some lulls, there were some peaks, there were some valleys, ended on a peak, and the Chicago Bears 4-1 and a win over Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Almost feels like a pretty good deodorant to go over that Colts game. Let's go around the horn. Immediate reaction. Aldo, what'd you see?
Well, last week I said the Bears were exposed, that Ryan Pace was out GM'd by Chris Ballard of the Colts, and Matt Nagy was out coached by the Colts coach. Well, this week, retribution. They got vengeance, and they proved me wrong. They beat a team that I thought was going to easily beat the Chicago Bears. So I'm eating humble pie. I'm happy to see that these guys continue to play hard. As you said, John, there were mistakes aplenty. There was defects. We've got 10 days to go over all of those defects. But what they showed to me, and I think to all Chicago Bears fans, is that they've got heart. And that can win you a lot of football games, and even against Tom Brady.
Gaines, you're the one that was keeping us positive through this. What do we got?
Brother, it's never freaking over, man. With the time available, I'm upset that Nagy even gave them a chance. Like, why give Tom Brady the ball back? That was like,
we can talk about that.
And we didn't have to do that. Like, we had it already. We already had it. The previous drive, we were like, let's just keep them on suspense. But we got the win. We got the win. That was like the team stayed together, John. Aldo, they stayed together. Yep. The defense. Mike Evans. You got to think about it. It always happens. There's always a big splash early, and then we tighten up. My man Jones was getting. He cracked back-to-back games over 100 yards rushing. Shut him down after that. Mm-hmm. And then it was just like, but Nick Foles with the wheel routes to the running backs have been clutch on third down. That was the real difference. I love seeing Brady upset and frustrated. That's always great. I just love that, because when he's calm, it's a problem. Like, that's the greatest quarterback of all time, guys.
Yeah.
The last time Brady was at freaking Soldier Field, man, I don't know where we at right now. But it's like, he jerked Urlacher and Briggs. And so at the end of the day, the Bears got the W. And man, like, it's so much to go over and dissect. But we found the way to beat a good team that was getting a lot of national coverage. The Buccaneers haven't lost. They haven't lost. It's Tom Brady. They haven't lost since week 1, since the Saints. Right. They haven't lost since that game. Right. So for the Bears to learn under pressure, John.
Right.
Hey, how about this defense, man? We'll talk about the offense, and they deserve some accolades. But man, the defense kept this team in the game when the offense was sputtering. They were forcing the Buccaneers to kick field goals. They're the ones that forced was that 16-second drive or whatever to get the ball back towards the end for that game-winning field goal. They had to get Tom Brady off the field to get the offense back on the field to drive down and kick that field goal. So the defense is the one putting pressure on Tom Brady, making him scream at his offensive line, making him go all out of sorts, getting him all fired up. And then just that whole bend but don't break mentality they have. They kept everything in check. They played their butts off. They got after the quarterback. Hey, they got a turnover. So, there's a lot to go through here, but the defense is what kept this team in the game. But then Nick Foles hit one of those hot streaks. We were talking about him being streaky. He hit one of those hot streaks. He kind of rode that in the whole way. You know what I like seeing? I like seeing him have a conversation with Matt Nagy on the sideline where he's saying, this wasn't working. I want to do this. I'm not a lip reader, but it was very evident that I caught an I don't care in there whenever Nagy was telling him something about something, because he wanted to push it. When they ended up getting a 3rd and 27 or whatever the hell it was, and then they had ended up kicking a field goal, and him and Nagy are talking on the sidelines. Foles is like, I wanted to push it, and Nagy said something. He's like, I don't care. And they're going back and forth. That shows you that Nick, and I'm not trying to turn this into a Trubisky thing, but you probably don't see Mitch say that kind of stuff to Nagy on the sideline. Right. So it shows you that Nick Foles wants control of this offense. He wants to be the guy who sees. He's reading the defense. He sees what it's given him. I don't need you telling me we need to go. And that's a veteran quarterback saying, let's take control of the game. I know what I'm seeing. Trust me a little bit. And they did. He came through. And, despite the heart attack at the end, I wish they would have just ran the ball and ran the clock down to about 30 seconds to give Brady even less time. But the defense, once again, shutting them down. The way they got them off the field to set up the game-winning drive, they got them off the field to end the game. They finished. It was a full finish. The offense finished by getting down the field to kick the field goal. The defense finished by setting that up and finishing the game to make sure Tom Brady didn't have another fourth quarter comeback.
Boy, you broke that down really well, John. The veteran leadership by Nick Foles there is perhaps what this team has needed all along. I mean, and Nate talked about calibration, that it was going to take a while for him to calibrate with Nick Foles. Well, yeah, it apparently does, because you're not doing what the quarterback wants done. And if you can read between the lines, there were a lot of times last season in post conferences where Trubisky was kind of hinting that he was not happy with the play calling by his head coach, and that he was not being allowed to do certain things that he wanted to do. And I think we saw it on display here today that Nick Foles wants to do things his way. In that fourth quarter of his comeback win in week 3, he was calling stuff on his own. He was improvising in the huddle. And then last week, it appeared like there was this kind of battle between Nagy and Foles. And so there wasn't that calibration, as Nagy put it. And then this week, you see Foles, really, really getting on his head coach and letting him know, I'm gonna do things my way. And so you bring out a really good point there, John Buffone. I really do think that is a big part of why this team won. And then again, this defense, as we have said all along, anybody that knows the game of football, you win it at the line of scrimmage. And this Bears defensive front, they played magnificently. And some of the comments in the chat room about the play of Khalil Mack tonight, I mean, anyone
Turn it on.
Yeah, he took advantage of that right tackle, who is a really good player. The kid from Iowa, I saw him play.
Rookie, but good.
Yeah, he's a rookie. Tristan Wirfs, but Danny Shimon was really, really high on him coming out of Iowa. Danny and I went to that Northwestern Iowa game, and Danny couldn't stop talking about him. He's a good player. And then we heard Bruce Arians talking highly about not only Tristan Wirfs, but the entire offensive line and how well they've been playing. And we saw their run blocking do an excellent job tonight. But boy, pass blocking, Brady was rattled, and that was great to see. Really great to see. And he didn't even know what down it was at the end of the game.
Yeah, that was incredible. The best quarterback of all time's like, okay, 4th down. Like, no, dude, game's over.
Yes.
James, what do you see?
Man, I see. They got Khalil Mack. They got Khalil Mack getting interviewed. But brother, man, I mean, this was just like, once again, the Bears in the fourth quarter just put it all together. And so I always say, break it down to a simplest form. It's what you're going to do with the opportunities. It's very simple. And when we needed a stop, we needed a stop. I mean, follow the tweets. Like, it's like breadcrumbs. It's just like, yo, we need to stop. We need to score. We need to TD. And so Nick Foles, I mean, even when AC pointed it out, he wanted to run the hurry up, and Nagy was trying to get him to huddle and everything. So when he was like, this was going to help me, Nick Foles kind of like tailed off at the end of it, and that's when the pressure started getting in. The pressure started to get there, and his arm was getting hit. And so it was as great for the fact that, I mean, the wheel route was the one that worked. Yeah. That was his pass for the night. Everything else was kind of up in the air. But I'm like, yo, at the end of the day, it was 2 minutes left on the 50-yard line. We need a field goal. Like, just get this win. It's such a huge win to learn throughout the game. But, John, we had like under 100 yards rushing, bro, for the Chicago Bears to do something. Like, not only did our defense show up, but we had to lean on our passing game. Like, that's a big deal.
And we knew that was something that they were going to have to do because they had a very highly ranked run defense. So it didn't look like a good matchup where it's like, well, the Bears are going to have to try to throw the ball. Hasn't really been a big strength this year, so this isn't matching up really well. But even that drop in to David Montgomery late, I think it was a 17-yard gain to get them into field goal range. I'm pretty sure Foles changed something at the line to present that. If we have it, I'd love to see if he did something at the line or he did a kill or whatever it was. I think that he did change something right before that play. I didn't go back and look at it, but that shows you his understanding of defenses and his ability to see what the defense is going to bring to him and how he can adjust to it. Yeah, he did miss early on. He did miss some throws. He missed. We can reference that overthrow to Allen Robinson all we want, but at the end of the game, that's the guy I want running the offense. At the end of the game, that's the guy I want calling the plays, and that's the guy who I'm going to trust to at least get into field goal range to put the Bears in a position to win the game.
I get it. You don't got to take quiet jabs. You don't got to take quiet jabs.
No, it's not quiet jabs. I'm just saying that's the guy I want.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yo, Nick Foles lucky he ain't mess up. Nick Foles was lucky he didn't mess up. But no, John, you got to call a spade for spade, bro. It was like I'm so proud of him that he came through. But there were some of those balls that wasn't got behind. There were a lot of 50-50 stuff that happened right now.
Sure.
Collectively, all together, him just like keep him staying focused. Let's just we can make it about the quarterback position, and the position showed up when we needed it to, obviously. But it's like he can run the offense, but the play calling still has to be on point. Because
it was more of a subtle jab at Nagy than it was anybody else. I'm going to be honest with you.
I feel you. But like the coach has to be held accountable, and I trust you in saying our quarterback can hold our coach to be accountable. But like for this game to do this to Brady, to how we were getting muscled, how our offensive line came together and just like gave Foles some time. Allen Robinson around 10 catches. Like I mean, Foles was the man. And like this was I wanted a walk off TD. That's what I wanted. I wanted a walk off.
They tried with that play call.
Before taking that sack, I was like Foles. I was like, if he can just get a touchdown, like do it again to Brady, that'd be like, yo, give him $40 million, give it to him. but that's the joy of it. But like, yo, it was a national game. We didn't play our best football, but once again, in the last 4 minutes. Remember we were losing.
Oh, yeah.
And we got to give props to who? The kicker. Like, yo, I mean, the kicker was the scoring. We didn't score a touchdown. We didn't score a touchdown in the game. So I didn't want him to kick. I was like, yo, can you please score? Can you please score? And then the hook left, I just got visions. And so
you get that hollow feeling in your stomach where you see it, the low trajectory of the kick, and you're like, where is it going? Is it going to shank? Is it going to hook? What's going on? And it ended up going right through the uprights. I mean, they were talking about, they got to get at least here for a 53-yarder. I'm thinking to myself, absolutely not. You need to get at least 10 more yards in front of that before we're even going to start discussing that. But they did what they had to do, and they got it into a very makeable range for Cairo Santos. He I guess played well. He kicked well. He didn't miss anything today. So that's great. So maybe when Pinheiro does get healthy, they start talking about does he need to shake rust off, or do we go with the hot leg or whatever it's called? To go with the Santos, if you will. But I don't really want to break down the kicking position too much. But it did. No, that's not really my forte. But he did kick well. So, but getting back to Tyler's point, it was a collective win. I think everyone chipped in at this point. Now there were and like we said before, winning's the ultimate deodorant, and there were plenty of things to look at this game and say that can be improved upon. Right. But one thing that you cannot deny is that this team does not give up until the very end. Even last week, they gave themselves a chance with an onside kick, even though there was a soft coverage all along. It was a one possession game, and they had at least an outside chance. This team does not give up even when they are playing very, very poorly. So it wreaks havoc on the fans watching the game because you're hitting such massive highs and massive lows, and this is This is just a team that's like that. It's just a volatile stock market. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. So, but at the end of the day, if you can beat Tom Brady on national TV, you take one more big step towards that national legitimacy. I mean, and I'm sure you're going to see some of these national talking heads tomorrow talking about, are the Bears for real or are they still a fraud? But at least they're still in that conversation where it's just not, oh, we told you so. They lost 2 in a row. They got blasted by the Colts. They got blasted by Brady on national TV. Bears are who we thought they were. They're the mediocre team that's going to have a bad draft pick, and they're still not going to have a quarterback. But now the Bears are 4-1. And we can talk about draft picks and we can talk about next year and whatever, but 2020 still looking pretty good. 4-1. A lot of teams would take 4-1 right now who were ranked or supposedly supposed to finish better than the Bears.
Right.
I mean, Philadelphia is supposed to be better than the Bears.
Right.
I don't want their record. Even people pick Detroit to be better than the Bears. I don't want Detroit's record. I don't want their team. I don't want their coach.
Who did that?
Yeah, well,
there
plenty of people.
Especially in Detroit. Hey, what do you make of this? Apparently, Tom Brady didn't want to come out and shake hands with the opposing winning quarterback. There's Nick Foles looking for Tom, but Tom is walking off the field without shaking hands. Still upset that he didn't get another down, apparently.
No, Tom thought it was halftime. So he's going to come back in about 15 minutes and there's not going to be anybody there. But
man, that's messed up.
Yeah, I'm not going to give him – I'd love to not give him the benefit of the doubt, but I know that there's a lot of stuff going on with Patrick Mahomes being close with Stephon Gilmore after that game with the whole Stephon Gilmore testing positive for COVID. Brady's already gotten a ton of crap for his offseason workouts during the shutdown and against, not really regulations, but against recommendations. So he can at least use the excuse that, it's protocol that we don't want to intermingle with people and touch hands or whatever.
But he could have given Foles a head nod or something.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying that's an easy excuse if he wants to use that. But we know why he's running off.
Foles did win the game. I mean, like, John, to your point, Foles did his thing. Yeah. And I'm jacked. John, you're right, bro. Like, the backtrack on your previous point. No, Foles legit won the game. Like, if it wasn't for Foles, we definitely wouldn't have won the game because he got it together. Mooney, Robinson, I'll pull it up because at the end of the day, I know A-Rod went to work, but once he got comfortable, it was on that second. Without the running game, that's what's so impressive because you would think the Patriots didn't get 20 points. And the Patriots, oh my gosh.
Still doing it again.
The Buccaneers didn't get 20 points. Once again, the Chicago Bears, when all these teams are getting 20, 30, 40 points, the Chicago Bears defense, again to your point, John, that the defense really clamped down after giving up some big things early. Khalil Mack, did y'all see my man Mack throw my man off?
Yeah, that was a WWE move, man.
That was beautiful.
The old hip toss. Absolutely. I mean, you're looking at the box score there, and it's just. And let's not forget that Tom Brady's coming off a stellar performance last week. 5 touchdowns last week, and so there was a big culture shock this week because he wasn't able to do that. He wasn't able to get into any kind of rhythm. And you're looking at I'm looking at at Brady's line 25 of 41 with a touchdown. But there was never really a time where he was just grooving it, where it's just like and they certainly weren't putting it in the end zone, which is all what this defense is built on this year of really tighten up. Once you get inside the 25 or the red zone, they really tighten up, and then teams have to settle for field goals. It's everything before that where they're kind of giving up their yards a little bit. But to Tyler's point, man, they couldn't run the ball, and they still got some efficiency out of the passing game, which I thought was surprising. And some of the play, and we didn't even talk about Jimmy Graham and the tight ends. I mean, obviously they came up. Jimmy Graham with one of the best catches I've seen this year, a one-handed catch where he just used a bear claw to bring it in. So
he got some new endorsements off that catch.
Yeah. So I mean that certainly wasn't coming out of the tight end position last year. And I said way back when they signed him, I didn't love the signing just because of the amount of money, but I said if he goes out and gets 6-7 touchdowns and catches 50 balls, he's worth that because it's a huge upgrade from what they had. So I think he has 4 touchdowns in as many games because he had one game. I think he had 2. So so I think that he's averaging a touchdown a game. We got none of that out of the tight end position. Even Harris caught a good ball today. So we're still waiting for Cole Kmet to take that next step. The only time that I saw him really in the game was when he got called for a penalty. But we're waiting for that to mature a little bit. And he's learning behind Jimmy Graham, who is a consummate professional. So I'm still hopeful for that. And maybe, Graham's playing well enough. They don't need Cole Kmet to step into any kind of prominent role. But overall, just a game where, if you were to backtrack in the first quarter, the second quarter, you would have swore this team was, DOA. There was this was in another national game where the Bears get embarrassed, and we got to hear about all this stuff because, there's a difference between, seeing this on Sunday at noon Central Time, 1 p.m. on the East Coast, where it's just regional people tweeting about it. But there's people nationwide talking about this game. There's people there. I saw the sports writers in Baltimore, sports writers in Pittsburgh, sports writers in DC, sports writers in LA. They're all commenting about this game. They're all watching this team because it's probably the first Bears game they have seen this entire year, at least in its entirety, or if you have red zone or whatever. But so this is their first taste of the Bears, where it's just, wow, this is a really peak and valley kind of team. But they do not go down easily. They go down swinging every single time, and that's something that I have come to appreciate about this team is they never roll over. They're in it until the last whistle, and they believe they can win it until the last whistle. And that's a big part of why this team is 4-1, because they could have rolled over against the Lions. A lot of teams would have rolled over against the Falcons with that deficit. Yep. After that first half, or after that first quarter and a half, would have been easy to say, all right, this is Tom Brady's night. This is him. And it would have been easy just to go in the tank, especially not feeding off anything from the fans, or you're doing it in the quietness of hollow Soldier Field. So I have come to appreciate the fact that this team absolutely will not give up until there's 000s on the scoreboard.
You got that right. I mean, and again, I gotta hand it to Ryan Pace, because that's a high priority item for him, is to draft high character guys, and that coaching staff really pushes these guys to stay focused and to keep fighting and so forth. But you got to have the high quality guys. Bruce Arians was talking about it during his press conferences. He said that he was really pleased with how Tampa Bay was drafting high quality guys on the defense, and which is why they have such a premier defense. But the Bears, I think, up and down. Yeah, we've had some issues with Anthony Miller doing this, but for the most part, this is a team comprised of guys who just keep fighting. And drama-free and quiet leadership from guys like Khalil Mack. Again, Khalil Mack, we give him a lot of crap because the numbers aren't always there. But man, oh man, does he play his heart out every single down. And it was great to see him get some results. I got some highlights that I can share with you because they were just posted by the NFL on their YouTube channel. Let me call these up real quickly and see what we got here. This is in the fourth quarter as the team is trying to march back and get into the game. So this is Foles finding a receiver underneath. This is late third quarter. Did they score on this drive? I'm forgetting.
Let's see. This isn't the drive where they got bailed out by the roughing the pass.
Right.
But this is exactly when you see Nick Foles is taking what the defense gives. This is when it's crunch time. This is when it kind of mattered that we stay in the game. I think we punted, but we moved the ball up. We changed field position.
Right.
And that's a key thing. He was just Robinson with these passes and towards the sideline, man. I mean, you can't get better than that.
And you just see those 3 consecutive catches by Allen Robinson. When that was happening, I'm thinking to myself, Allen Robinson is the epitome of a Bear receiver. He is so tough. I mean, he's not afraid to go over the middle. He sacrifices his body. He's had a couple of problems this season with jump ball catches, but put aside that imperfection, this guy is a Chicago Bear receiver. It reminds me in some ways of Marty Booker with his physical style of play, but he's even more talented than Booker was. And here he is again, another big down play to move the sticks. I'm just really happy that Robinson is a part of the Chicago Bears, that was a huge.
Got lucky there. Well, this is where they went backwards, and then after this drive, Nagy and Foles had that discussion on the sidelines because I think once they got down there, Foles wanted to push it, and all of a sudden they started huddling, and he's like, "What? No!" And so they got it back. I mean, they got it back into field goal range. I believe this is when they took the 17-16 lead.
Yeah, there you go.
And this is just great. I mean, Foles was literally just taking the 6-7 yard routes, and this is just like conventional football. That like, and this would kind of upset me later in the game when we took those big strikes. When I'm like, why are we doing that if you're good in the moderate routes? And then what we're gonna see when he throws to the running backs, John, the offense learned. They saw Tampa bring in an Etzer blitzer. 45 White was coming, and so. Yeah. And so Montgomery knew that, saw that, he would like fake block and he will wheel out. And
right.
So, props to Nick Foles again for like it's twice. I thought for sure he was taking a sack, and for some way he got the ball out, and that was just like he was calm under pressure. He took some sacks. I'm glad he didn't give up the main interception. I hate it when those interceptions go on the quarterback because that interception shouldn't be on Nick Foles.
Yeah, big sack there by Khalil Mack to push them back after they had just got a first down to get into the red zone area. And again, another big defensive play here on a 3rd and 17. Just stopped them short of that.
Yeah,
they kicked the field goal.
Yeah,
they kick a field goal after this, and You're talking about Khalil Mack probably could have had probably another sack to his name if they don't get that roughing the quarterback call on him, which there were some we don't need to go into officiating too much, but I thought overall the officiating was adequate, and the Bears got some. I'm saying that because I'm a Bears fan, because the Bears did get some calls. The roughing the passer on Foles I thought wasn't necessarily a good call, but for the most part, they were in. I don't think they were in Brady's head, but they were getting to Brady, which that's a stationary target. He's not. They don't got to worry about him breaking contain. They were able to pin their ears back and go straight at it. And offensively, like Tyler was saying, I did see a lot of those like engage and release routes for David Montgomery, where it's like they bring him into the sidecar, kind of engages as a pass blocker, and then kind of just kind of scoots out there a little bit, and he's able to make plays in the open field. And I thought David Montgomery did the best with the opportunities that were given to him. He wasn't going to rack up 100 yards on the ground today. I don't think anyone thought that going into it. But whenever he was involved in the passing game, I thought he made the most of it. And here's that. Just drops it perfectly in there. It's
gorgeous, man.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous. Huge play by Nick Foles. That's that. And yeah, I'm not even going to bring up the other quarterback's name. Let's just relish what this quarterback did. He did it enough. Now there was that crazy play call.
Yeah, I don't think that made the highlight reel.
Did not make the highlight reel, but I will tell you this. Let me just go back here when. Santos was measuring up this kick. Let me go back just a bit here. I thought to myself that those goalposts here were getting narrower and narrower and narrower, and I was just terrified that he was going to miss this. I have never seen the goalposts that close together before. It was like somebody was pushing them closer together. Yeah. But good for Santos. He makes the big kick. Good for him.
Yeah, I it's in my Bears fan DNA that I'm like, okay, if he misses this, they still have 2 timeouts. They can stop the clock 2 times or get the ball back. Maybe they're like 25 seconds left or something like that. You start going through all that stuff, but he made it. And props to the kicker because he made all of his kicks today, which were crucial because they needed every one of them. They needed every last one of those kicks to go through the uprights. And so we can't bash the kicker position too bad because that's what really helped this team win this game. But
we got Nagy Nagy's at the podium. Let's go to him now.
Special about this team, we find ways to win. And it's not always pretty. We totally understand that. And, using these next couple days for myself. But this is a big win for us right now. When you look at this, to be 4-1, every win is so crucial. And so I'm proud of our coaches and players for that.
JJ? Matt, early in the game, Nick was missing some throws. He had the third down miss to A-Rob and then the deep ball to Mooney. But just what does it speak to his experience and his resiliency that he's able to come back and make some nice throws as the game went on?
Yeah, that's who he is. I think what you saw from the offense was there was, probably the biggest part that I look back at is that start of the third quarter. We had some momentum going there at the end of the second quarter. We got it back and we felt a little groove. And then to come out and have penalty and second and forever, third and forever, the first 2 drives of the third quarter, it's deflating. And so that's the part there that, that part is what's kind of sticks with me right now. But you say that the throws that Nick made, the protection that the line had, the opportunistic plays that these guys made at the most, perfect time. That's what is so key about these players. These coaches are on the headsets trying to figure what we like and don't like. And again, that was a pretty good defense we played. So all in all, the offense made plays when they had to. And I think that's one of the special traits that Nick has.
Jeff Dickerson.
Could you sense the impact that Khalil was having during that game and the frustration that was causing Brady?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have a guy like Khalil that every single snap he's bringing it, and you just have to know that he's coming. And it's unfortunate on that last sack he had, or the one where he got the penalty, because he could have had a third sack, and that's just who he is. And the other guys feed off of that. Along with Kyle Fuller, the biggest play of the game was that hit that Kyle had for the fumble was huge. So to have a couple sacks by Khalil, for Kyle to make that play, and then Buster and Quinn to get on that football, I just thought that we were able to make plays at the right time today, which was great.
Brad Biggs.
Hey, Coach. Can you talk us through the clock management right before the field goal? Was it kind of an effort to get a shorter attempt for Cairo, and then following that up, did you need to see your kicker deliver in the clutch like that almost as much as your kicker needed to deliver?
Yeah. So as far as we wanted to stay aggressive there at the end and try to, we were going back and forth. There's a situation there where we can get into a mode where if you break a tackle on a slant route or a handoff, whatever, where they're out of timeouts and you can kick the field goal and win. And that's always a tough situation to be in. But we were trying to stay aggressive and then there just to get some more yards to be able to make that field goal. And then he did it. So, yeah, the second part of your question, for him to make a 47-yard field goal, which was big, and then that 37-yard field goal game winner, I think that just –
Guys, I apologize for interrupting Nagy, but there's word here that it is feared that James Daniels will miss the remainder of the season. He will go an MRI tomorrow for a torn pectoral. That is the fear. And Mike Garofalo of the NFL Network is saying that the concern is that he's going to be out for the entire season. And that means that Alex Bars will likely fill in that left guard spot. So that's a big blow to this team, because that middle of the offensive line, for the most part, were playing very well. They had a not too good of a game against the Colts, but tonight and in the first 3 games of the season, they played really well. So a huge loss if indeed Daniels is out for the season.
And that's kind of what I feared when they said he was heading to the locker room with a pec injury. And normally, it's usually, if it's a pec injury, it's a torn pec, because if it's a strained pec, it doesn't really feel like it hurts. That you're still got that adrenaline pump, and you can probably play through that. When you feel that, you can feel that pop, and you can feel it, then it's wrong, and then that's a season ender, and that sucks, because that he was a crucial part of that offensive line. Alex Barr, I think that it was his first or second play in there, and he got manhandled, and Foles took a sack, so that needs to be shored up a little bit. And I'm sure it's hard coming in cold like that. So Bars will be expected to play, and expected to play well. So we'll see what Castillo can do. with that. Going to Nagy's press conference though, whenever he said that they wanted to stay aggressive, I can understand that. And you pick up, I believe they could pick up a first down and just run the clock down to 0 and kick the field goal and win it. And I understand where you're coming from, but would I have done that? No. But if they do it, but if Robinson comes down with that catch and they're inside the 5 and they can control the rest of the game, kick a 10-yarder or whatever to win the game, then we're thinking, wow, what a ballsy call! Wow, look at our coach and what he's doing. So I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I would probably I would have taken a more conservative approach to that and just tried to run the clock down to keep it out of Brady's hands as much as possible. But I'm not going to get overly mad about it. I disagree with it, but I'm also not going to disagree. I'm also not going to be too mad about it because the Bears won the game. If Brady comes back and wins, then we have a different conversation. But I at least understand his not reasoning, but I understand his explanation behind that, I guess.
Let's keep talking about the game, but while we do that, I want to just put something up on the screen here just for kicks because it's one of my favorite moments in the game. It's Khalil Mack just manhandling. I mean, I can watch it on a loop over and over and over again.
That's like a 350-pound individual he's doing that to. It's not like he's just tossing like a 180-pound receiver.
Yeah.
Like, look at that.
And then look at Tom Brady's look. And watch Tom Brady right here. He's looking at it, and then he goes, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, I'm glad I just go down. That's why Tom Brady's been able to play so long because he goes down before he gets hit, and he made a lot of professional decisions today. By the way, I just saw on the ticker that this was Tom, and I don't know how many there's been, but this is Tom Brady's first ever loss on Thursday Night Football. So I don't know. So I don't know how many there's actually been since Thursday Night Football has. I mean, it's been around a while, but Brady's been in the league for 45 years. But so Bears give Tom Brady his first ever loss on Thursday night. Yeah. Tom might still be at the field wondering when he gets his last down. But yeah. So. What do you guys think about what Nagy said? I mean, pretty straightforward what he was saying. I mean, coach speak. We already know how he feels about Nick Foles. We knew what his explanation of Foles was going to be. Right. So any kind of takeaways from that?
Not a lot. I mean, I basically he said everything that we had been saying prior to his press conference. I mean, right. I think we all kind of looked at things the same way, and he's awfully proud of these players as we are. I mean, these guys are playing with a lot of heart, and they're overcoming his bad decisions in certain respects. I wanted to get your guys' take on the inside linebacker position because, I was studying the play of Danny Trevathan, and he had a couple of good plays, but he is still making
out of position
decisions there. Yeah, he is taking himself out of position, sometimes in the pre-snap movement. So I don't know if this is a Pagano thing, or I don't know if he's just making some mistakes, but that is not looking good, and that's putting an emphasis on Roquan Smith to become Superman. But Roquan missed some tackles today, and that really hurt in the first half of the game. I still believe that Roquan is an excellent player and is going to have a fabulous career as a Chicago Bears linebacker. But their play, Trevathan and Roquan Smith, worries me a little bit.
It definitely did, especially in the first half, Aldo, for sure. Yeah. But they tightened it up. I mean, they definitely tightened it up because that's why the running game stopped, because Roquan stopped playing around. And he's starting to meet him in the backfield, and that's when he handed him that 1 yard loss. And so Danny, but I also noticed some things in zone coverage, because when you lose track of the receiver, I mean, that's why Brady was like tearing us up with the slants. And I don't know if you guys noticed it, but it was one particular play where they sent Mack back in zone, and that threw Brady off. And that's where the A gap pressure came from, and we got a sack on Brady when Khalil Mack was in coverage. And I was very impressed with that. And I was looking behind Mack, and I was exactly where the receivers were sitting down at, because the linebackers were outside of position and they were sitting in the middle. You're sitting in the zone, but there's nobody behind you. I'm like, bro, the receivers over there, you got to fade to that side. You got to fade to that close possible threat. But it's just, once again, we have an awesome defense that can make adjustments on the fly.
Yeah.
But that's why we have to hold them to this standard. We are no longer like we have to think about this. Matt Nagy, we're no longer just that lower third of the NFL. You are a good team. We're going to hold you to a higher standard. This is one of my best parts of the freaking game because it's like as a defensive guy, as an outside linebacker, you're like, yeah, I'm going to be here all day. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Brady sees him, he's like, this guy again.
And he just saw him throw his bodyguard on the floor, so he ain't got
like, what do I gotta do? And so we're talking about linebackers. Aldo, to your point, I'm not sure because you see Trevathan out of position. Sometimes you see Roquan out of position, and I'm not sure if that's a Pagano thing or if that's just an instinct thing. You wouldn't think that it's an instinct thing with Jenny Trevathan, who that's never been an issue for him in years past. So maybe he's just finding himself out of position. For Roquan, he still has that freakish athletic ability that he can make up for a mistake, a mental mistake, and cover a lot of ground whenever he finds himself out of position. The tackling early on, he made some whiffs, but he did tighten it up later in the game. So I don't. But you also saw some guys get. Urban had a couple good plays when he got rotated in. Vaughters also got in, had some good pressure on some plays. So you're seeing some of these rotational guys come in and make some plays as well.
I believe we just lost. Cairo Santos was at the podium, but I think he's done. So I think we're awaiting Nick Foles. So
that's one question.
Yeah. Kyrie, that was quick, but I missed him. So let's continue to talk, and we'll get some of Nick Foles in here and then call it a night, guys. It is
going back to Khalil Mack real quick. We have to understand how big officiating plays on the game. They actually called 2 holding calls that were going against Khalil Mack. Right. So when they look at you, you know you're getting called. Hey, yo, the refs are calling it. I'm like, you look at their NFL showing off, trying to be officiating. And so that made the tackles ease up. So now Khalil Mack is like, oh, I'm going. They're not holding me. And so that really made a difference in the game. But we got to give props to Chuck because the pressure started coming.
Yeah.
And when Eddie came down, the running side, that really stopped Jones, even in the running game so I mean, props to our coaching staff for just like keeping them, but it comes down to execution.
Mm-hmm.
We executed once again when our back was against the wall. The game wasn't over till it was over. So it was no time to celebrate. Even after we wanted to kick the field goal, I'm like, it's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You know it's freaking Tom Brady. And like if Grant would have caught that, who knows? So that's what I'm saying. We need him to mess up. Brady.
Yeah.
Go ahead and mess up for us. And we're opportunistic.
And I think just real quick, I was talking about those rotational players, and I saw a comment bring up Mingo. I thought Mingo has shined a little bit tonight, showing his athleticism on the flats, and also Houston Carson's the one who made the last play of the game, breaking up that fourth down pass. So when you see those guys that aren't expected to be the centerpiece of the defense making plays, that's what we saw in 2018 a lot of the time. That's whenever you saw Bryce Callahan shining. That's when you saw some of the other secondary guys. So it was nice to see those situational players really step up and make the most out of their opportunities. We talked about Montgomery making the most out of his opportunities on offense. I thought a lot of the defensive guys made the most out of their opportunities because obviously Khalil Mack was eaten, but it was some of the other guys that were putting the team in good positions too. So all around, pretty, I guess, good performance all around. It wasn't just one guy taking over the game.
Yeah, and how about that play by Brent Urban late in the game?
Yeah,
he gets in. I guess he was virtually unblocked, but he gets in and makes a huge stop, a tackle for a loss, and just his expression afterwards. He was so happy, and the camera stayed on him during the break, and he's there.
He loved it.
I love to see that human, that authentic reaction and stuff from these guys. They're having a good time, despite the fact that there aren't 60,000 fans there cheering them on. They were having a good time and getting the job done.
Yeah, and just moving forward real quick, I think this was a huge win because now the Bears, I think, have, and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but they got the Panthers up next, very winnable game, and then they got the Rams after that, who didn't look anything special against the Giants last week. So we got 2 very winnable games before they run into the Saints, who also don't necessarily look like world beaters either. So they have a schedule coming up, and who knows? After that they have the Titans, but that team might be forfeiting the entire year by the time the Bears have to play them, because they got to play them in a month. And if this keeps up in Nashville, I don't know what the NFL is going to do with the Titans, but they can't keep doing this every week where they're like, okay, we might have to move their game to Tuesday, or we hope that another one tested positive. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Tennessee. They're being investigated for breaking some of the protocols potentially. So if that comes down to it, where Tennessee doesn't have a season, then who knows if that's an extra bye week for the Bears or what happens there. But they have 3 games in front of them where they, at least the next 2 weeks, where they can make some hay if they take care of business like they should. But we see that the Bears are going to keep it close no matter who they're playing, I guess. But so I'm not going to take anything for granted. But this win set them up to really put themselves in a position of power, especially with Tom Brady taking on the Packers next week, where we're all of a sudden, now we were rooting against Tom Brady today. Now we're loving Tom Brady next week. Hopefully they get a pissed off Tom Brady taking on Aaron Rodgers next week, and we see the Buccaneers bounce back and down the Packers and give the Bears an opportunity to get back in first place.
Yeah, and I know it's sacrilege to give the Packers any credit for anything, but you gotta respect the fact that they're 4-0, and
Sure.
Their offense has been playing so well with Devontae Adams now missing 2 straight games. They've done some good things over there in Green Bay, and I can only hope that once they play the Bears in late November, that will be a game for first place that will still be just a game behind them, or maybe they'll lose a game or 2 by then, and then that way we can really show how good this team is and beat them and move into first place. That's a game I got circled on my calendar, November 29th, Bears in Green Bay at Lambeau. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I am told that Nick Foles will be up at the podium in about 1 minute. So we've got a minute to go here, and then we'll go to Foles.
How can we possibly kill 1 minute? Let's just talk about some things that might need to be addressed by next week. You at some point, this team needs to have a running game. Yeah. So I'm not taking away anything from this performance. I'm just talking holistically. If we got to talk about things that could be addressed and do better, they went against a really good run defense this week. Do we see them try to establish more of a running game next week to try to take some of that pressure off Foles? Because if they can do that early, maybe we don't see some of the scattered play we saw in the first quarter and a half here. If they can try to settle down and try to set up the run a little bit more.
Yeah, my concern with the run game is that because Foles is likes playing out of the shotgun more, and they were effective in those first 3 games of the season running from under center, that there is, again, the calibration problem with getting this running game going, because you got the new quarterback in there. And then I sent out on Twitter, the first 4 plays, there were 2 plays under center, they ran. 2 plays in the shotgun, they threw, and it was very, very predictable. Now they changed it up; it wasn't that way the entire game, but they've got to work out a solution for this, because as Matt Nagy said, last week during the press conferences, if you don't run, if you're not able to run successfully, you're a one-dimensional team, and that's really, really going to hurt this football teams and really put a big onus on the defense, because they're going to get out there and have to play a lot of series because there's going to be a lot of 3 and outs or series that are just 4 or 5, 6 plays for the Bears offense. So they've got to figure that out. And now with the loss of James Daniels, that's going to be a huge, huge adjustment for the interior of the line. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and just once again, how about holding an NFL team to 19 points? Mm-hmm. And just to put that, we'll be able to put that on perspective on Sunday when we see some of the scores coming out of the NFL, because we did that last week where I think only 5 teams scored less than 19 points, and the Bears were one of them and they ended up losing the game. Let's see how many teams score less than 19 points again, because the Bears keep going up the list as far as defenses on points per game allowing. Right, going into the game, 20.3. That's going to go down again. So I want to see this team. Yeah, they're in the middle of the road on run defense. They're in the middle of the road on pass defense. what matters the most? How many points you giving up? And so that you're going to see this team continue to rise up the list on points per game allowed. And you're going to see in a league where the Browns are scoring almost 50 on the Cowboys, and the Broncos with their backup quarterback scored 37 on Thursday Night Football against the Jets, where points are abundant this year. The Bears defense is not giving up a whole lot. They're keeping teams in the teens, which is not something that's normal in the NFL right now. So if that trend can continue, and this was a good offense they went up against. I know they didn't have Godwin and a couple other weapons, but they did have Mike Evans who made some plays. They did have Ronald Jones who had a pretty good game. So it's not like they were playing a bunch of bums. They're playing Tom Brady who has made a lot more with a lot less. If you look at his years in New England, when some of his number one pass catchers were, I don't know, guys are working at Dunkin' Donuts right now. So he's been able to run an offense no matter who's on that team, and they kept him to 19 points. So overall, just a lot of props to this defense, because yeah, I don't care how many they could give up 400 yards on the ground. I don't care. If they only score 19 points, let them run their little hearts out. I don't care. 19 points on the scoreboard, that's fine by me. And I think that's a trend that you're going to continue to see, because that has been what they've done all year. They haven't been porous to the mat where they're just giving up touchdown on touchdown on touchdown. They'll give up a field goal, but then it's up to the offense to go and get to score 7. Then I'll trade 7 for 3 or 3 for 7, whatever it is. But I see a lot of tweets going at the defense before this game and before the Colts game, and I think it's unfair, because they're playing their ass off, and if they would have had better offensive performances, they wouldn't be talking about the defense, because holding teams to 19 points, that's gonna get it done most of the time in the NFL in 2020.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Tyler, you're being awfully quiet there. Are you meditating or something?
I'm learning, John. You guys are. I'm just like I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the squad, because I want to hear these reporters start to switch over. And they're going to quietly. They're not going to take ownership on the crap they said about the team, but they're just going to talk about the things that we do, and we can focus on the positives.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, at the end of the day, we're making plays and we're executing. And so, and it's when it matters. And when you do that, John, everything you just said about the defense, because I know my team. Can't nobody really tell me about my team. Matthew Stafford, come on, Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady. Like those names alone, like those are playoff caliber quarterbacks.
Sure.
And so for our team to learn, it's not just the game, bro. It's like the season game where we should jack Rodgers up, because we should be calloused enough. Like Phillip Rivers, all these guys get the ball out fast. Tom Brady, these guys get the ball out fast. This is all these teams score on us early, and then we tighten up.
Yeah.
And so, the fact that we're doing this against these teams, we're going to see how much. I just hope we don't play down to the competition. This is what I'm hoping, because we're held to the standard. Like Tampa Bay was getting a lot of praise, and we can just use that. But we don't go to anywhere else and play lower. We should take care of Carolina. Carolina's no slouch. I think McCaffrey actually will get activated IR
probably
if Wiki plays us.
Yeah,
so it's gonna be another challenge in itself. But hey, I'm cool where we're at, because we want to run the ball. The first 2-3 games, we were plus 28 attempts and rushing. And so at the end of the day, if the door is locked, go through the window. It's okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to adjust. Win the dang game. Almost cussed. And Nick Foles with the work. We have a quarterback. At the end of the day, it's play your position. And that's what we're doing. So I'm actually very, very encouraged that the rest of the nation got to see what we all hope and know locally. The rest of the world got to see. It's kind of less to say if you think about it, because everybody just saw what we saw. And now they should be like, I see what you guys go through.
Yeah. I got 3 texts by people who are either Eagles fans or Steelers fans, and they're saying, how do you watch this every week? I don't know, man. It's in my blood.
All right, we got Nick Foles at the podium.
Early in the game.
Rob, and I was shocked it came off my hand like it did. It just it didn't come off right. But other than that, it felt good. There's obviously some throws where stepping up. A couple of times you get hit and you can't really get it out there. But there'll be a lot of things that we can look at on film to get better at, because we left some stuff out there. But they did some nice things on defense to make it so it was a little difficult to do that. So they did a nice job.
JJ?
Nick, what have you learned over these 2.5 games about how to communicate what you want out of specific plays to your teammates, to your coaches, and how to be that demanding on the sideline?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're continuing to grow together. This is something that doesn't happen overnight, and I felt like today was a big one because it was just I just keep saying, like, it's a fist fight. It wasn't an easy game by any means. We just kept fighting, and everyone just kept throwing punches. And I'd say the big thing from tonight was we got to learn how to go through a fist fight like this and come out on top. And you don't want them every week, but if it's what it takes to win every week, that's what we'll do. But I think in the moments at the end of the game, obviously lots to learn from for all of us, coaches, players, and everything. Just continue to gain that rhythm, because this is my first time with a lot of these guys and a lot of these coaches. So it's the first time they've seen me in one of these games. And first time I've seen them. So tonight was a big night of learning.
Jason Leisure?
Nick, we've heard some of your coaches talk about you just having no memory, it seems like, from play to play. On that second to last possession, you had 3 that were really close interceptions. How do you go from that to the big throws you made on the game-winning drive?
They did a nice job on that second to last drive of really getting some pressure on me as I was trying to throw it. So that made it difficult, and they did a nice job there. But I think the big thing is just trusting my teammates, trusting the guys in the huddle to where, I can have that short memory because I trust them, and I'm going to lean on them. And we have to continue to believe in one another. And doing it tonight showed it, and we just continue to gain confidence with one another, working with one another to, obviously win these games, because it's not easy in those situations where you go. I think we were 3 and out on that second last drive, and, it wasn't pretty. And then all of a sudden, move the chains and get into field goal range. But I think, once again, tonight was a big night for everyone in the huddle offensively, just continue to learn who we are as human beings and athletes within this game.
We'll take one more.
Nick, on the first touchdown drive, there was a 3rd down conversion. It looked like you beat a blitz with a quick sort of outlet pass to Montgomery. Do you remember that play specifically, and the way that the first half had unfolded to that point? How big was that moment to finally get a drive to push forward like that?
Yeah, Coach Bowles is known for bringing all these different pressures and different blitzes and different stunts, and it's a lot of work for the guys up front. They really grinded out and gave us time to get the balls out quick. And there's times where teams will drop the back, so it was one of those ones in those situations, just yelling at David, "Hey, get out, or go," because his protection didn't come. And sometimes the checkdowns are good. As quarterbacks, we're always looking to be aggressive and push the ball downfield, but there's times where they zone it off and drop everyone out. And getting to the check down can sometimes be hard, but I felt like there were some big ones tonight.
Kevin Fishbane?
All right. I gotta break in here and say that Bruce Arians is claiming that Tom Brady really did know what down it was. So what was he doing? Was he trying to cheat and then get a 5th down?
He was going like this, like he wasn't moving, and then he was like,
"Yeah,
what the hell are you doing?" Yeah, get out of here with that. But to react to Nick Foles, we've said this before. When you listen to him talk, you don't know if they won by 50, lost by 50, if they even played a game, and that is kind of a position of strength where it's just like, I'm even keeled no matter what, and I think he has the confidence in himself to be able to talk to the head coach and say, this is what I'm seeing. This is what we need to do. Because in that entire conversation between Foles and Nagy, there's only really one Super Bowl ring between them, and it ain't on Nagy's finger. It's on Nick Foles' finger. So that kind of gives him the confidence to be able to say, I'm seeing this. Let's do that. I like what he said. He shakes things off. He saw that the checkdowns were there. We talked about the checkdowns being there a few times with the engage and release kind of things with Montgomery. So this was a great step in the right direction. Now, obviously, we'd like to see some more touchdowns in the future, and that all falls back. How many points did the Colts score in the second half last week? 6. How many points did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers score in the second half this week? 6.
Right.
And so that shows you that the defense is balling out. But how many points did the Bears score in the second half this game? 6. And so it was enough to just eke that out. So you'd like to see some of those drives be sustainable and be able to go in the end zone. And you don't want to see them going backwards where some of the penalties and the sacks where, it looks like they were on fire. And then that was probably that huddle up thing that caused that whole conversation. And then they I don't know if it was a penalty or a sack, whatever, but they ended up going way back and they ended up having to eke out a field goal there. So eventually you want to see them to be able to put it in the end zone, but they did what they had to do. They had to score 6 points, and they scored 6 points in the second half. They had to kick a field goal to win the game. They got down to field goal range. They kicked the field goal, and they won the game. So you can't complain way too much about that because they come out on top. Just if we're going to talk about things, you love to see it go in the end zone eventually.
Nick Foles, from what I just heard, man. And even before, even all of his press conferences throughout the course of the season, preseason, that's a good dude. That's a good man. That's a really good man. Yeah. And speaking from a position of leadership, I don't think the average mindset will understand what he just said. I don't know these guys. I'm still getting to know these guys. Mm-hmm. And so when you say that, you think he's talking to a group of people, but he's talking about veterans and rookies and second-year guys.
Right.
With a new center. What? What? And so for him to be the whole time he's talking, I'm like, I'm so glad he's my quarterback. Quarterback. I like Nick Foles because going back, I watched what he did in Philly, and he hits the freaking open guy. And I really respect the man who's proficient at his craft and to be ready. And this is why even when he messed up these first 2 drives, I'm like, all right, bro, you got to step it up. It's on you. And then he did before the half. Our defense bailed us out. Do you guys understand that we tied 18-18 for first downs, both teams, Tom Brady and Nick Foles? Because the Bears offense. But guess who had more passing first downs? The Bears did. All the running that the Bears didn't do, Tampa Bay only had 4 rushing first downs. The Bears had 2. Mm-hmm. Like Montgomery still took what was available. And so this freaking team, Nick Foles, is like, bro, what's happening? Are we really? I know we only 5 games in, but I'm getting a little happy. Like, if this is the type of leadership that can be displayed in times through adversity, when you got all these other things going on around the world, and all the Bears issues are on the football field, and we're fixing it mid-game, and now Khalil Mack is getting loose. What happened when Robert Quinn is at 100%?
Yeah, and I saw Robert Quinn. I watched him specifically just because he was on the bottom of the screen. It was easy to track him. He was getting off the ball pretty quick, didn't get home a lot. He was taking a lot of the outside moves, and I think that they got used to that. But I think that's going to improve a lot as the season goes along, much to your point. Whenever he finally gets into his groove and he's able to just pin his ears back and get after the quarterback. If Khalil Mack's going to start firing off like that, and Robert Quinn could, start firing up a little bit, then they start getting penetration with the front 4. Then we start seeing some of those turnovers like we're accustomed to seeing. Right. So that could happen later on in the season if the front 4, especially the edge rushers, really start getting home. We're going to see because they're not going to be playing Tom Brady every week, who can just get rid of the ball or take the knee and go take the sack and move on. They're going to be next week. They got Teddy Bridgewater, and then after that they got Jared Goff. And these aren't world beaters, by the way. These are quarterbacks they can get after. Eventually, they're going to have maybe Ryan Tannehill to get after, or Matt Stafford again, or Kirk Cousins. So there's going to be plenty of times where the Bears are going to have opportunities to get after the quarterback and force some mistakes. So that's encouraging to see moving forward what the defense can do. Not just they're already holding teams to under 20 points. If they can start generating some turnovers, then you're cooking with something real. Then you're giving short fields to the offense, and I'm sure they can thrive off that. And that's something that they can really take advantage of because I'd much rather see this offense have a 40-yard field than a 70-yard field. So I think later on in the season, if they can create some turnovers, who knows? Who knows? I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Who knows what we could see, though?
A couple of things regarding what Foles said. He complimented the offensive line, saying they had to grind things out and that Todd Bowles throws all these exotic looks and so forth. And that's so true. I mean, those guys, that offensive line did a really good job. I feel really bad for Charles Leno. I think that the narrative that's out there is that he's this terrible player, and he is not. You have to kind of look at things from the perspective of the entire NFL. There are at least 10 teams in the NFL and maybe as many as 15 that would love to have Charles Leno as their left tackle. And the reason that I say that is because tackle play in the NFL has become terrible. It is really, really bad. This is not like it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where there were a lot of good left tackles and right tackles in the NFL. We're not seeing that, and it's because of what's happened in the college football game, that they're not churning out really good offensive linemen, especially at that tackle position. And so Charles Leno, while he is not going to ever get a gold jacket and get a call from Canton, and a plaque and all that stuff, he still does a fairly decent job. Yes, he gets blown away sometimes. Yes, all pro guys like the guy he played last week, Justin Houston. Houston had 22 sacks in one season. He's had double-digit sacks in many of his seasons, or close to double-digit sacks in the seasons that he didn't get double-digit sacks. So he's a really good player. Now, Leno had a terrible year last year, but Leno has not played bad this season. He's played fairly well. And so I just wanted to say that. The other thing is penalty-wise, finally, the Chicago Bears got the better end of the stick with the penalty calls, because there were some calls that went our way, Chicago's way, that I said, wow, we got away with.
It saved the game. It saved the game. We were supposed to punt that one time.
They got the roughing the quarterback call.
They missed the face mask. I think we face masked the young
on a return. Yeah.
So all right, Mr. Official.
Now, they did miss a couple, like that one terrible throw that Foles threw to Darnell Mooney that was like about 10 yards away from him. If you notice the replay on that, right after he releases the ball, somebody comes and smacks him in the face. Right. And so that typically is called.
Exactly.
Yeah, so a bad job, but for the most part, the Bears got the better end of the stick tonight, and so I'm happy to see that.
Are you guys concerned with the deep ball pass? I mean, the one to Jimmy, I think that was in his vicinity, but it's a couple passes.
Yeah.
Hey, if Mooney didn't pay defense on one, that would have been intercepted. But again, he beat his man.
Yeah,
it's two to three passes. I'm like, yo, Foles. And then I'm looking at him at a press conference. I'm like, bro, I got some protein for you, bro. It's like, you get just a little bit more. I mean, imagine if he can just lead Mooney. I mean, it wouldn't even be as difficult. I mean, if we would have had a couple more touchdowns out of that. And so Foles looks great within 40 yards, but it's like, and he's so courageous. The one thing I'm worried about, I hope he doesn't get hurt. He's not scared to take a hit.
He's stepping into things,
and I like that fearlessness, but it worries me, bro.
Yeah. Well, that's been a knock on him, that he can't always stay on the field. I don't know if he's ever played a full season, and if it is, they're very far and in between. So I mean,
but he's willing to put it on the line, and I get that, and that's different, because some quarterbacks would quibble in that moment, and he's actually trying to put it all on the line for his team because he sees a play and he's going for broke, and that's dope. But even on those plays that he wasn't hit, like still, I mean, maybe Mooney is that fast. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe they misjudged it.
Yeah.
Man, Mooney's stat line for this year should be so much better, because he's created so much separation off of his defenders, and he's been underserved by some of the quarterback play. Both quarterbacks that we've seen this year for the Bears that have missed him on a number of occasions. But that's encouraging, because we're seeing a 5th round pick continue to get utilized in the offense. And I talked about this earlier this week on Buffone 55 was he passed Ted Ginn before the season even started. We saw that. Is he climbing the ladder to be the number 2 option on this team? Because I saw Anthony Miller had a catch, two catches. I don't know if he had no more than 2 that I can remember.
He had the catch first down.
Yeah, he had a very clutch first down. Yeah. It was a great catch and it was a great play. But I think that you're seeing them scheme Mooney in a little bit more, and I think that they have high aspirations for this kid. He's that deep ball that Foles missed. He ran such a crisp route. It was textbook to get separation. Yeah, the shoulder wiggle and then boom out and in and out, and it was something beautiful in there. For those listening to the audio version, we're looking at a picture of Nick Foles and what looks to be his son Tom Brady on it.
That's a great Photoshop.
That is funny.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean it's
the separation.
Yeah,
I mean when it comes down to wide receivers, it's all about who can get separation. Allen Robinson, I mean the good wide receivers are great in that. All the great wide receivers are great in separation and stuff. And so you can scheme a guy open, not all day. If that's what's going to happen, can't wait.
Right.
And so every defense that we face won't be a top 10 defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but hey, do that against the Packers.
Yeah. They got some divisional games coming up in the middle of the schedule that they got to make some
NFC, undefeated in the NFC.
Yeah.
And a real quick look at the schedule. Let me put that up here. We've got a nice break for the guys. They'll be able to hopefully
10 days worth to heal up.
Yeah, heal up. And so it's Carolina on Sunday, October 18th. That's a noon game here in Chicago. It's actually at Carolina.
Monday night.
And then a Monday night affair at Los Angeles. So that's a tough. So they're going to go from the East Coast, Carolina, all the way to the West Coast. So that's going to be a difficult period for them. And then they've got New Orleans on Sunday, November 1st at Soldier Field.
Those are all winnable games. Those are all winnable games.
All winnable games, but it's
all winnable games.
Nonetheless, it's a challenge. Now, you know how they say they look at a season through a quarter. So in the first quarter of the season, they're 3-1. They start off the second quarter excellent 1-0. Hopefully it'll be 2-0 after Carolina, and then all you got to do is win one of those games against LA and New Orleans. And so all of a sudden you have another quarter that is 3-1, and that would be super, super sweet.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna bring this up real quick because you guys talked about Aldo. You talked about the inside linebackers, and with these teams coming up, our inside linebackers will be tested because first of all, Teddy Bridgewater is mobile. The Saints, and then when you go to the Saints, whenever you talk about slants, it sucks if we can't use Khalil Mack for what he's great for because our linebackers can't get into the proper position. And so not taking any knocks, but this is what's going to happen. With these teams coming up, our inside linebacker position will be tested.
Right.
I hate when they catch him and we got to turn and chase him. Those things kill us. We are great. We're great. I love us when we get into the red zone because now there's no space to run. And we just happen to work it out and we can give up field goals. But then the pressure's on us to keep the score on offense. But with these games coming up, our inside linebackers will be tested with these mobile quarterbacks.
Big time. Good point. All right, guys, you want to wrap this up and go around the horn with final thoughts?
Let's do it.
All right, who wants to lead it off?
Hell, I'll go. Final thoughts on this is, I'm trying to shake off those negative feelings I get about this team whenever they go in the hole early on in the game. I saw the first quarter. I'm just like, oh man, here it goes again. I'm just tired. I'm sad. And so they came back and they fought to the very end and they beat a good team on national TV. And so if I've learned nothing else, it's to not count this team out until it's over. It may seem over. They may seem dead in the water. There may seem to be absolutely no hope whatsoever that this team can come back and win. But they've shown time and time again throughout this year that it's not over until it's over. So a hell of a win for the Chicago Bears. For for not just for, to go 4-1, but I think mental standing that they can go out and do that to Tom Brady. I think that's a big confidence booster to the defense, who didn't really need it, but now they can get that killer mentality again to go after quarterbacks, make some big plays, get some turnovers. So overall, couldn't be happier with the result. Couldn't be happier with the performance. Couldn't be happier with this entire game, this night, Thursday night. And what's great about Thursday night is that if you can get a win, you kind of get a 3 mini bye out of it. So they kind of get 3 extra days to rest up, prepare for their next opponent. What they can watch the Carolina game this weekend and not have to worry about their own game. So they got a lot of time to prep. So that's another good thing about it. So overall, incredibly happy. As far as what's going on at the Barroom Network, make sure that you check out Buffone 55 every Wednesday. We're going to have some reaction to this game. There will be plenty of reaction to this game with myself and Alyssa Barbieri. Also, our new show, Pass the Mic. We just released our latest episode today. It's a show all about empowering female voices in sports media, talking about their struggles, talking about their journeys, and talking about the sport that they're experts in. This week, we had an incredible guest this week. Her name is Amanda Roller. She is a Canadian coach, athlete, and broadcaster. She has played and broadcasted almost every sport. She's a game day host for the Saskatchewan Roughriders of the CFL, a game day host of the Saskatchewan Rush, who is a lacrosse team. She apparently used to skate. I just learned that today. She's an Olympic power lifter. She played in the Canadian Women's Football League as a receiver and a cornerback. So she's dabbled in everything, but she still has gone through the same struggles that a lot of women have gone through. And I appreciated how candid she was with some of those instances that, although you were listening on the show, some of those things are just very aggravating. They're very irritating when you hear, and it makes you mad when you hear those kind of things. And so I appreciated her being so candid and talking about how she reacted to some of the harassment and some of the cruelty that she's had to endure just because she wants to do something that she loves. So I encourage everyone to listen to that episode of Pass the Mic. It's available now on all the wherever you listen to podcasts, it's available on. So we do that every other Thursday. If you missed our first episode with Peggy Kaczynski, got to listen to that too, because that's an incredible story too. And these shows are evergreen. You can listen to them anytime. They're not just fresh and then they're only good for 3 days. These are good to listen to anytime. So please give the show a shot.
Yeah, I'm with you, John. And they're good for everybody, guys and girls, but particularly if you have, a sister, a daughter, a niece who is interested in getting into broadcasting or really anything, they need some inspiration. Pass the Mic is the show you really should share with them. And by the way, I did find, because she being Amanda Ruler, she did share the story about her winning this car on The Price is Right.
Oh yeah.
Guess what I found?
Did you find evidence of that?
I found evidence of that. That's right.
Yeah, and she shares that entire story of it as well. So
on The Price is Right.
Actual retail price $6.49. Amanda,
that's her.
Look at her.
That's
She is ripped, man. Look at her. That's her.
Yeah, and I thought was so interesting because she's Canadian. She wasn't even allowed to keep the car. She had to get cash value for it.
Yeah, and she shares the story that a week before she came out to The Price is Right, she got into a car accident and her car was totaled. So she really needed a car. And so she got the cash and was able to go out and buy a car. How about that? That's how the Lord works, right, Tyler?
Incredible. Yeah. And that just kind of scratches the surface on some of the things that we talked about with Amanda. So you got to listen to that episode and just listen to all the things that she has gone through, because, she's still a very young woman and has accomplished so much in a small amount of time. So it's incredible to listen to everything that she's gone through, everything she's accomplished, and her attitude towards everything. Just I'm not trying to give too much away, but she had a tryout with WWE and she thought she did pretty well. She didn't. She ended up not getting the gig, and she's just like, okay, I didn't get it. I'm going to go on to the next thing. And then she started doing her powerlifting thing again. She's training with the Canadian rugby team right now, and she's also training high-level hockey athletes and high-level football players on speed and agility, because she was a track star at the University of Regina. So she has done up in Saskatchewan. So incredible story, incredible stuff. You got to listen to everything that she has to say, and just listen to the show in general, because I think that it might give you a different perspective on some things.
There you go. Tyler, you want to go next?
Man, I want to talk about John's show because it's so awesome. I wish, that's just awesome. I wish I could just be there live. But until I said what's up, man, because that's awesome, and I'm so glad that she was able to partner with you, John. And I'm just glad that she knows that all of us at the bar room, we all have her back. Because I mean, the only bullies that I like is like Khalil Mack is our defense. That's the only bully that I like. I don't like bullies in real life. I can't stand it. So anybody that's trying to suppress females for any reason, that's just stupid. Like whatever. I can't believe people still do that. Like really,
it
really
sucks. It's hard to believe it still happens, but
what year is this? So like, let her. Let's give her my number, man. Just in case. But she's in good hands with you, bro. And so, man, pass the mic. Make sure y'all check that out. Spread that should be viral. A million views.
We're trying. I
got a feeling it's gonna happen, brother.
Let's get that going. Dive into this game. Final thoughts, real quick, man. This is just one of those games, John. Honestly, real talk. Aldo is like, man, I know my daddy's proud, man. I know Amos Ellis, man. I know he's looking down. I know it's my daddy's favorite football team. At the end of the day, it's why we do it, and that's why it means so much. Because this is, I will be as soon as I get the phone with y'all, I'll be hitting them up right now. Like, did you see the defense like step up? Because that's what does it for me. And it's Bears Nation. We just have a reason to be encouraged. We have a good football team, and so I know we're hard on them, and it's easy to turn. But no matter what, like say if we lose next week, don't switch up. Don't switch up, because we have shown in critical moments that we can be productive above our circumstances. We do have good leaders in place and everything, and so we get a good rest, and we should be encouraged, man. I think we're gonna win in this game, like Michael Irvin said, keeps us in contention. We are in contention for the division title with one of the hottest quarterbacks and Aaron Rodgers in the league. As much as painfully to say it, but it's respect. They're in our division. They make the division look good, so it's okay. And so, but that being said, we're gonna bear down, and we got all these good shows coming up this week. And going to that note, the Perspective of Gains will be airing soon with my man Joe Mandel running our 1s and 2s, and we will be going over faith, finance, fitness, entrepreneurship, mentorship. And I think, John, we was talking about, you said Amanda's going into powerlifting. And so we will be talking about gains in every aspect of life, man. Because in the checkout bar room, my man Aldo coming up soon. We got all types of proteins and amino acids for you, because we are about those gains, aren't we, John?
Yeah, we are about all those gains. Physical, mental, spiritual, you name it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so we will be getting that to you guys. But the bar room is just popping on many levels. I mean, great shows across the board. Great shows across the board. Great personalities. This is bigger than the game itself. We want people to be encouraged, be empowered. Just like Pastor Mike, we take this platform to leverage every other platform. But at the end of the day, we accumulate the masses to be productive. It's unity through diversity, and that's dope. And where there's unity, he commands the blessing. And right now, there's a blessing in Chicago Bears right now. And so we just gonna keep that going. But we got tons of games coming from you guys. Just stay tuned. There's a lot of stuff coming. What my man Aldo, man, we appreciate you, man, keeping us all together, keeping these energies together. John is always dope. And so, I mean, yeah, we got shows coming up.
Listen to them all.
There you go. I'll share a quick thought on the game. You know, Khalil Mack has been every week on the injury report, and so for the first time today, he was not on the injury report because of that knee that has been bothering him for some time. And so he's not on the injury report for the first time, and he goes out there and has this super sensational game. So let's just pray and hope and wish that he can stay off of that injury report and he can play to that level that we saw today for the rest of the season. And my heart goes out to James Daniels. The reports that I'm seeing on social media, it's almost a foregone conclusion that he's going to join Tariq Cohen out for the season. And so that's a huge loss. And I know how much that's going to hurt him personally, because he's a good guy. I actually saw a couple of his press conferences this season, and he talked to the media about his devotion to the team and his teammates and stuff. And so that's going to hurt. But what I saw today out of this team, I saw a team that really, really cared for each other and really was going to go in there and sacrifice so much of themselves to get the win. And that's what they did. And so I can't be more proud of the team that I root for and have been rooting for decades. So love these guys, and I love the guys that I work with. Tomorrow, it's Greg Gabriel and David Schuster. They're going to do a podcast. They'll be seated right over there, and they'll be talking about this Bears win. Greg Gabriel, of course, was the director of college scouting for the Chicago Bears for 9 years. He's worked in the NFL for about 3 decades. His last job was with the XFL, the Washington Defenders. He knows scouting. He knows player talent. So if you get a chance to listen to the Gabriel and Schuster Talk Bears podcast, you'll get a lot of in-depth knowledge. And, of course, David Schuster has been in the Chicago broadcast field for 4 decades, following the Chicago Bears, covering the Chicago Bears since the 1970s. And he actually predicted that the Bears are going to lose today and that they're going to finish 8-8. So I want to see what he's got to say tomorrow to see if he still thinks that this team is an 8-8 team. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's the Gabriel and Schuster Talk Bears. And then we've got so many other shows. Just follow us on Twitter at Bears Barroom. Visit the website, bearsbarroom.com, and interact with us. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like, and we'll make changes when need be to make sure that you stay a loyal fan. And we really appreciate all you people who follow the Bears Barroom and interact with us all the time. So, guys, that is it. I am going to find my video open, and I wish you guys all a good night and a great, great weekend. And we'll see you next week for the Carolina game, all right?
Thank you.